Hello, it's Volley coming at you with another video about witchcraft stuff. I wanted to talk about the tarot, which is my personal favorite when it comes to tools of witchcraft. It's a lot of different things. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of misunderstandings about tarot. Some people think that it's there's a spirit within the tarot. And I do joke about that. I'll say that the tarot has a personality of its own, but really in reality, they're just cards and you create them to be what they are. If I was doing a reading on myself, like for instance, let's do one right now. Let's what do I want to know? What kind of meditation should I do later? Okay, so lately I've been doing these meditations to try and help heal my sister. And I've been having weird visions of my grandfather, who I'm worried about. So this is family. Cups is relationships, and it's the 10. It's the last of the minor arcana. It's the full resonance of what cups is. So it's the fullness of relationship and family. So that means that my meditation should be based on them, which makes sense because I almost forgot. So it's a good reminder. Stuff like that is how the tarot works. I'll use it a lot of different ways. When I was first starting, I would read my tarot like 5 times a day or more. It depended on what was going on that day. But it's a great way if you don't know yourself in here to get to know yourself, because I got to a certain point where I didn't need to really read my tarot anymore because I would just feel the things that the tarot was trying to tell me before I even read my cards. The thing about tarot is that you are connecting to a higher being, but it's just you. It's just the higher version of yourself. You could also think of tarot or any divination tool really as an ink blot. It's basically, I don't know, you're probably familiar with ink blots, but it's basically where they have ink on a paper and they close it, and then when it opens, it's like a design, right? And people will see different things in it. Somebody who sees one, let's say ink blot A, they see a rhino, and then ink blot B, they see a kid crying, right? Let's say that a different person sees 2 totally different things. Each thing represents something to somebody. So if somebody sees, let's say, this card, somebody might notice this guy before they notice this guy. Somebody might be noticing the tulips on the ground. Somebody might notice the pentacle. Each time that you are trying to divine, to connect with your higher self, notice the thing that you notice first. That's the thing you need to focus on. Be like, what does that mean to me? Just like dream interpretation and all the different things, it's about figuring out what you're trying to tell yourself, because at the end of the day, when it comes to divination, you already know. There's a part of you that already knows. And this is just a way to get to that via, it's a physical manifestation to get to that spiritual knowingness that you already have. It's a great tool. As you grow in it, you learn more and more about yourself and stop needing the cards for yourself as much, and you start to help others with the cards. Another thing too is that people have different interpretations for the cards. There's actually some of the Rider-Waite deck is the most popular one. Rider-Waite Smith, Pamela Smith designed the cards. It's beautiful. She killed it. That's an interesting story. You should look it up about Pamela Smith. But people actually still don't agree on certain cards. Like, I think it's the Seven of Swords. Is that what it is? I think it's the Seven of Swords. It's a guy with a sword, and he's running away from another group of swords. It looks like he's stealing them. It's the Seven of Swords. It's this one. This one, like I said, I don't know if I said that, but this deck in particular is the After Tarot. I'm not a super big fan of it because it's really a novelty deck. I didn't know what it was going to be like when I bought it. I just love the idea because I love the Pamela Smith deck so much. But usually it doesn't have this rope there. But what am I trying to say? Basically, this card is under debate. Like, they're not fully set on what it is. And that's kind of the point of the tarot, is that it's not about what it means. There's different symbolism that we all agree on, but then there's also the deeper stuff. Like for me, if I see a white owl, it's going to have a special meaning to me. Just like another thing might mean something to you that doesn't mean to me. That's how you have to think of it. So don't get too caught up in like what the shit means. To me, the best way to start doing tarot is to learn the basics. So you learn there's a major arcana and a minor arcana, right? And within the minor arcana, there are suits. There's pentacles, swords, wands, and cups. Each of those represent the 4 elements, right? So we have swords represents air, which is mind. It's all the mental stuff. Specifically to me, it really seems to resonate with like your spiritual journey, what you deal with on your mental. Then we go to pentacles. Pentacles is earth. Pentacles tends to relate to like success on the physical realm. Although I've definitely seen it in my life, it's applied to spiritual growth as well. It represents earth, so think of growth. What else? We got wands for fire. Wands to me represents action in the physical realm. I feel like it's adventure. It's like what are you going to do next? Where are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? It's struggle. And that's pretty much what it is. Passion, willpower. It's very human. It's the most human to me. And then what do we do? Do we do cups? Cups is water. Cups is relationships. So you kind of learn the suits, and then you learn what numbers mean. So now there is, within the minor arcana, there's 1 through 10, which 1 is the aces. And then there's the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. Now, I personally don't like the royal, what are they called? The royal, can't remember. Royal crew, whatever. I don't resonate with them. I think that it's kind of excess bullshit, to be honest. If I were to make my own deck, it wouldn't even have them, because it's just like whatever. But basically, the ace through the 10 is its own thing, and then the royal crew is basically the same idea, but only 4. So it goes like the page is like the beginning of, for instance, if it's the page of cups, you're just beginning to recognize your emotions and begin your journey on controlling your emotions and being in tune with your emotions. Then it just goes forward until you get to the king of cups, and the king of cups is the epitome of control over your emotions. You let them go through you and you resonate with them, and then they leave. Like, it's just that kind of thing. And that goes for each suit, right? Then you have ace through 10, and each number means something. What's really interesting is if you look at the 1 through 10, actually it's 2 through 10 on each of the suits, it's kind of a journey. You notice that in the beginning it's like a discovery of what's happening, and then as it goes on there's a conflict and a climax. 5 is always the most conflict, and then you get to 10 and it's the resolution, it's the ending, it's of whatever suit. So you're learning these numbers. The aces are always the epitome of what the suit represents. For instance, the ace of cups would be the epitome of love, the true unity amongst human beings, right? Relationships, that love. And each ace is that. So you learn the basics, and then when you're, whatever deck you get, you could kind of get an understanding of what it means when it comes to the minor arcana, because that's the most conflicting one. That's the one that's the most hard to understand, because it's just a number and a suit. When you get into the major arcana, that's the one that most people are familiar with, like the death card and like the tower and the high priestess, the empress, you know what I mean? The fool, the magician, those ones. Those ones are more easy to understand, although certain ones like the Hierophant, I think, are misunderstood. You know, the Hierophant is basically just a monk. It's just the one that's seeking divinity and is fully surrendered their life to divinity. So, for the most part, the major arcana makes sense. But really, the more that you use the cards, the more that they make sense to you. You'll learn the language of tarot. But at the end of the day, you could literally, you know what I mean? You could write. I actually have this thing I'm doing right now where I made business cards. Let me grab them. They're cute. they're basically a form of tarot. And what I did was I just wrote words on actual playing cards. I found these playing cards. They're so pretty. And I was like, I don't know what to do with them. I'm not going to use them. So then, see, this is the deck, Sakura deck. I think it's going to be backwards, whatever. So I wrote at Ventana Row on them to give to people. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go like this. And then they have to choose one. And then they get this, meditate. I need to meditate. That's what I need to do today. But this is a form of tarot. You could literally write words on cards and just focus on what your question is. You're like, let's say I'm like, I really want to move to Seattle. I'm really excited to do that, but I also know that I have to get a job there and I don't want to. Then I'm like, okay, I really feel that. And then I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready to do that. That's the word that I needed to hear in that situation. You could literally do that for yourself. If you don't have the money to get a deck for whatever reason, or maybe, let's say maybe you don't feel comfortable with people seeing you with a tarot deck. Like maybe there's like stigma for you with that. Just get a deck of cards. Just write words. Just write the words that you feel and then use that. It's no different. It's no different. See, I was doing that earlier. Family. It's just one of those things. It's all about your intention and your belief in what you're doing. And the more that you do something, all it takes is a little bit of belief to get you started. And then as you go, that was how it was with me. I think my first reading was honestly, it was luck that it even worked. I think it could have gone the other way where it just didn't resonate with me, but it was just, it worked for me because I saw what I needed to see. And that made me believe in the cards more. And that just exponential to the point that now for me, it's like immediate. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say about tarot. That's definitely my favorite. Such a good method. I'm actually waiting on getting my modern tarot deck. I wish I remember what her name was. Look it up though, modern tarot deck. It's coming out and I'll show it off when I get it. But yeah, I would really like to make my own tarot deck because there's a lot of things that I feel like are too complicated. I really want to make one that's like for everyone, people who don't necessarily, feel like they could do magic. I feel like that's what I'm passionate about. People need to realize it's just tools to get closer to yourself. It's just a way to connect and better everyone and yourself around you, blah, blah, blah. Love you. Hope that was helpful.